Last night, I was a little frustrated after hearing about the phone call from Vladimir Putin to Trump and what appears to be a backtracking on Trump's part. It was pretty frustrating to watch. But then this morning, I looked, and apparently the Ukrainian army didn't get the memo about that and just kept attacking an oil depot and an ammunition dump and an electrical substation. And then Russia gifted a Ukrainian or a Russian plane without Ukraine's having to do anything. I'll talk about all that in just a moment. Okay, so let's start with this. This is the first thing I saw this morning: Russian oil depot in a place called Gavarsy, Crimea. Havarsy. There's a G or a H depending on the spelling. Yeah, so an oil depot is hit. You can clearly see the oil depot is hit. Oil depot in Havarsky, occupied Crimea, and you can see the smoke plumes here. There's at least one known oil depot in the city located near the railway station, but it's also not too far from an air base, so we weren't exactly sure what they were going after initially, but it looks like the oil depot. Okay, good hit, oil depot, and again, here's where it is within Crimea. So that you can get an image of where that is. Okay, overnight drones also struck an electrical substation, in the energetic suburb of Vladimir. The 750 kV energy hub is a critical node in Russia's central power grid. If Russia's going to go after the power grid, Zelensky made it clear Ukraine's going to go after their power grid in return, and so that seems to be happening. Then there were reports of an ammunition depot that was struck. Let's listen to this. Isn't that something? Yeah, that ammunition depot is going up. Okay, so that was being struck. Recently, drone strikes and aerial reconnaissance of Lazar's group unit destroyed a Russian BM-30 Smerch multiple rocket launcher. So we see the aftermath of that. And then we saw kind of a weird report. We weren't sure what to make of it at first. Russian sources confirm now the loss of a Su-30SM. They say that the jet crashed while hunting drones. But usually there's more to the story, and here there was something more to the story. After firing a missile, a fire broke out on board. The crew ejected safely. A state commission is investigating. Possible causes were malfunction or a missile explosion or debris hit or collision or friendly fire. And then when you keep pressing into the story, what we find is some more to the story. Russian forces lost a SM-30 over Crimea, while the Russian regime claims that the loss resulted from malfunction. Ukrainian forces assess a friendly fire incident. Look, I don't care if it malfunctioned, if it's lack of parts, if Ukraine shot it down, if they shot their own thing down, it's down. That's one less Su-30. Okay, the cost of a Su-30 is $35 million to $55 million, or an hour and 7 minutes of the Russian government's total reported budget revenue. It's an interesting way of thinking about it. And here we go. Fighter bomber has confirmed Russia lost this Su-30SM last night over occupied Crimea. The jet went down after launching a missile at a drone. So they have to fight drones off just like the Ukrainians have had to fight drones off for the last however many years, and it's now starting to cause them some damage. The crew reportedly ejected safely. Officially, reasons are under investigation, but even Russian sources are hinting toward another friendly fire incident. And that's what it looks like has happened, that there was friendly fire incident. This is a Kyiv Post saying Putin's forces have accidentally shot down their own warplane overnight while trying to intercept Ukrainian drones, according to Ukraine's Navy. So that's a Ukrainian Navy assessment. Okay, so that's good. I mean, a lot has really happened here. Like the oil depot, the jet, the ammunition dump, the electrical substation, all kinds of things have been happening here. Okay, so now what have the Russians been doing to Ukraine overnight? Overnight on October 17th, Russia launched 70 attack drones, about half of what they could actually do on an average daily basis. Ukrainian air defenses shot down or jammed 35 drones so far, mostly over northern and eastern regions. That's not a great ratio. That's only half. And they did some damage in Zelensky's hometown. There's really not a lot of reporting about where else this has happened. So we're going to move on to the battlefield. Okay, strange day. 730 Russians off the battlefield. If you've been keeping up, the average is about 1,000, and it's been north of 1,000 for most of last week. So, only 5 tanks off the battlefield, 10 armored fighting vehicles, 35 artillery systems, and look at this, 73 vehicles and fuel tanks. It's also about half of what it was a couple of days ago. It was at like 140, 150, something like that. So 730, this is a really oddly low number. So I'm not sure what to make of that, but let's look at this. Engagements below average with considerably fewer casualties, second highest drone losses, unusually few armored vehicle losses, as I just pointed out. Okay, per cross direction, Russian invaders conducted 42 assaults, which seems, I would say 42 for the 1,000 or so would be a little low, but there was only 700 some odd casualties. It's very strange. Okay, Russia's elite Senate Spetsnaz, infamous for killing civilians to prove loyalty and missions in Syria, slipped into Ukraine for another raid. Ukrainian soldiers ambushed them in northern border forests, eliminating commander and 6 other operatives. Then in the Dobropilia sector, Ukraine's 225th Assault Regiment was tailed by a Russian UAV tracking their vehicle movements. Aware of the threat, they halted in nearby woods, dispersed, and took out the drone with precise fire as it moved in. That's a crazy hard thing to do, to knock down a drone with small arms fire. I mean, it's very, very difficult. That these guys are still alive is pretty miraculous. Okay, in Russia, a conscript opened fire on fellow soldiers at a military unit in Moscow region, killing 2, seriously injuring another, according to a Kremlin outlet. So they reported it. It's not made up, clearly. And what caused it, we just don't know yet. While Russians talk about mobilization in Ukraine, they're always, especially on social media, going on about how Ukraine they're pulling guys off the streets and they can't mobilize, they won't last. Okay, I came across a story reported earlier this year by Russian media that deserves a hold my beer status. In Russia, local criminals kidnap drunkards in remote areas, they force them to sign contracts, and then they take their money. So that's one of the ways that they're actually getting to fuel the manpower shortage in the Russian army. And they're probably not going to make the best soldiers. And that's just my gut assessment. I don't know that for sure, but that's my gut assessment. What appears to be a first official look at Ukrainian Vampire SAM system deployed to the Black Sea coast. The Vampire is mounted to WV and allows Ukrainian forces to shoot down Russian drones and cruise missiles with low-cost rockets. So this Franken rocket launcher is it's interesting, and the Ukrainians are just so clever and innovative, and they have to be. If necessity is the mother of invention, this is what's happening. Here's another batch of Russian drones being shot down or being knocked down by other Ukrainian drones. And I show this kind of thing regularly. I don't get tired of it, but I don't show this. These are drones bombing drones, destroying Russian FPV ambushes. So I've showed you images of Russia. Now, you're seeing an explosion, but you're not seeing anybody hurt here. There's no people involved. These are just drones attacking drones. So I've shown you videos of Russian drones just sitting on the road waiting for a Ukrainian vehicle to come by, and then it pops up and goes after the Ukrainian vehicle. So these are Ukrainians now learning, well, here's these drones waiting in ambush, and let's drop a bomb on them. And that's one less drone. All right, last little thing. On this day in 2016, Gorbachev stated quite categorically that he never received a promise by NATO not to admit new members to the alliance. He said the idea that Russia was betrayed is a myth. which triggers my troll, says Darth Putin. Yeah, that's right. Gorbachev said very clearly the question didn't even arise at the time. So NATO's eastward expansion, they were betrayed by the West regarding that. No, that's a myth. He said it quite clearly. I think it was a German interview at the time. And okay, that's all that we have. So I'm going to update you on where we are with the situation with Zelensky and Trump in just a little bit. And then we'll look at what actually happens in the aftermath after Trump and Zelensky meet. Hopefully there's not fireworks like there were back in, February or whenever it was, that terrible meeting with the You Don't Have the Cards. But stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll continually update you. And thank you for caring enough to watch this far. Thank you for the time, the likes, shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.